So there's an individual named Dan Lipinski who is seeking re-election for the 8th time in Illinois' 3rd congressional district, and this person is a Democrat, but you wouldn't necessarily think he's a Democrat based on his voting record. Now, when House Minority Speaker Nancy Pelosi was asked about whether or not she supports his bid to be reelected for the 8th time, after he proved to be more of a Republican than a Democrat, well, according to reporter Al Weaver, she states that she, in fact, supports his bid to be reelected. Now, specifically, why is that a problem? Because Nancy Pelosi supports conservative Democrats all the time. Well, this headline pretty much says everything we need to know about Dan Lipinski. Nancy Pelosi just endorsed a congressman who opposes abortion and gay rights. Dan Lipinski even voted against Obamacare. So, here's the thing about Democrats. They suck. Because when it comes to economic policy, they're conservative. So the one good thing about Democrats is that they're at least socially liberal. They're pro-gay Republicans, as Jimmy Dore puts it. But to remove that positive aspect away from a Democrat, to have a Democrat that's both socially conservative and economically conservative, you no longer have a Democrat. You have a Republican. And he voted against Obamacare. I mean, Obamacare was not great, but it was at least better than what we had at the time. He voted against that as well. So, I mean, everything we need to know about Dan Lipinski is summed up in that short article, you'd think, but it actually gets a lot worse than what that headline tells us, because Tim Murphy of Mother Jones explains Illinois Democratic Representative Dan Lipinski's career is on life support. The 7-term congressman from the Chicago area, who inherited his seat from his father, is facing a formidable primary challenge from businesswoman Marie Newman, whose campaign has been fueled by progressive anger at Lipinski's opposition to reproductive rights, LGBT rights, and Obamacare. Emily's List, the national organization that supports pro-choice women candidates, has backed Newman, and along with a host of progressive groups, including Planned Parenthood and the pro-LGBT rights human rights campaign, has spent heavily on ads against Lipinski. And these are the types of ads that they are running against Lipinski. They tell us a little bit more about him.
He opposes abortion, even in cases of rape and incest, and pushed to defund Planned Parenthood. But it's not Trump. It's your Congressman Dan Lipinski. In Congress, Lipinski has supported 52 bills to restrict a woman's right to choose and to block low-income women from accessing birth control and other healthcare services. You can't fight Trump when you agree with him. It's time for Dan Lipinski to go. Citizens for a Better Illinois is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That's a Democrat. Why? I have absolutely no idea. I think it's strategy. He clearly is aligned more with Republicans, but he probably thinks that that district is blue and wouldn't vote for him if he was a Republican, so he just decided to act like a Republican and stay as a Democrat. Well, look, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So Dan Lipinski is a Republican. And when you've got establishment organizations like Emily's List, Planned Parenthood, the Human Rights Campaign, all coming out against him, and even the DCCC, maybe perhaps the only organization more corrupt than the DNC, or at least as corrupt as the DNC, they came out against him as well. Still, Nancy Pelosi endorsed him.
That sounds kind of dumb, 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 dumb.
And it gets even more pathetic. This is an individual that voted against Nancy Pelosi's bid to be leader, not once, not twice, count them, 4 different times. So he has personally done things that affect Nancy Pelosi negatively, and she still endorsed him. What's wrong with you, Nancy? And see, this is why I think it's hilarious when neoliberal centrists and mainly, mainstream media pundits like Joanne Reed call us sexist for calling for the ouster of Nancy Pelosi. It's things like this, endorsing a Republican over a true progressive like Marie Newman. Again, if Dan Lipinski isn't even socially liberal, what good is he to the party? He votes against things that Nancy Pelosi pushes for, even the most moderate liberal reforms he's against, like Obamacare. But she still endorsed him when he is not an asset to the party. I don't get why she's loyal to him. I think there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Now, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to drum up conspiracy theories, but this makes no sense to me. This is absolutely absurd. For her to endorse someone who is even against her being a leader in the party makes no sense to me. It's not just the policies. There's something else going on here. So she basically endorsed a Republican. So I'm trying to think if maybe they have an agreement of some sort. I don't know what the hell it is. But this is really strange. I don't know what Nancy's doing. Half the time I don't know what she's doing. But this time I really am confused by her behavior here. Nancy, the only one holding progressives back and the country back more than Dan Lipinski is you, because you continue to provide cover to these conservative blue dog Democrats that are hurting your party. They're demoralizing the base. Who's going to want to come out and vote for Dan Lipinski? You're basically giving that seat to a Republican. And yes, I get it. He won multiple times, but times have changed in this country. People are paying attention to what's happening in American politics. And they see that this so-called Democrat is in Congress screwing them over. They thought that they voted for a Democrat and could just sit back and relax, but they're getting a Republican effectively. So people are paying attention. We are making note of every little thing that you do, Nancy, and this is not acceptable. So I really hope that Stephen Jaffe, Nancy Pelosi's primary opponent, can defeat her. You can support his campaign and basically send a message to Nancy Pelosi that we've moved on. Progressives have moved on, and she is someone who should retire. She's not helping anyone. She's holding us back. Nancy, you've got to quit. You can't keep doing this. You have to retire.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.